Hey, it's Sierra. Have you ever seen those homeless people beside the road and you try not to look at them because you just feel bad? You never give them money, but you're in a really expensive car, probably getting food, and going back to your cool air conditioned house. Well, I could consider that to be pretty selfish, but I'll tell you exactly how to prevent that from happening again. As a society who is going through such a hard time right now, I think empathy is the best medicine for us, whether it's checking up on somebody or even helping somebody get something for people who are immune compromised. As a person who loves to give stuff to everybody and everything I come across, I'm constantly doing stuff for people and trying to help people out by getting food or anything they ask for. I even have a family member that needs constant help with things, so we're always getting stuff for him. I'm also a very firm believer of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and seeing how they feel, from Navid Nagaban, who is an actor on Law and Order and NCIS. I think empathy is a huge problem in the United States because we're so self-consumed with everything that's going on around us that we forget to do stuff for the community and also for our family members that are living with us right now. Empathy affects us because it can cause a state of depression or even mental health issues. But my solution is to take 5 easy steps to help with getting empathetic towards people very naturally. As many of you know, we're in a crisis right now called the coronavirus, and the only thing we can try to do is to be more empathetic towards people. According to Barack Obama, he says, speak it clearly, speak it with compassion, speak it with empathy for what others are going through. The biggest mistake any of us can make in these situations is to misinform, particularly when we are requiring people to make sacrifices and take actions that might not be their natural inclination. Another article called An Empathy Shortage is calling Trump an unempathetic, and that's a huge problem. If he can't be empathetic towards the times that we're having right now, what should we be doing? Shouldn't we be following in his footsteps? There's a hole at the heart of Trump's rhetoric where empathy belongs. How must the marginal in our society view a president who seems most excited about stock market gains and welfare for big corporations? Empathy in times of crisis is not some altruistic add-on, but if the president can't feel it, he needs to fake it, according to Garrison. The coronavirus itself is causing a whole bunch of issues with mental health and physical health with doctors. In the article that I looked at, they're specifically looking at the mental health unit and the effects, but that doesn't mean that the nurses who are seeing it first-handedly aren't seeing these effects also. And according to an article called The Investigation of the Relationship Between Nurses' Burnout and Psychological Resilience Levels, these nurses are experiencing empathy fatigue and emotional burnout, according to Artem. Now that we know what the problem is, let's take a look at how it can affect us. We need to realize that being selfish and taking things for ourselves is not going to help us in this situation. The reason we're not being as empathetic as we should be is because most Americans are pretty selfish. You can clearly see with the news and everything about the toilet paper and the paper towels. Jennifer Schlosser said in an essay, "Are you preoccupied with fantasies that the world is ending because of the selfishness of others? Well, maybe we all are, and maybe sometimes the fantasy is real." In 2016. Since the coronavirus has started, I feel as though we see so many more robberies and break-ins. And that just goes back to being how selfish people are. Breaking a car for toilet paper, that sounds pretty dumb. And it's going to sound pretty dumb later on. It's even said by Mike Brennan on USA Today that with even these situations of the lack of products we're having, we see increases in victim blaming, intolerance, hostility, and even at its worst, violence. As a naturally empathetic person, I'm going to tell you 5 ways on how to be more empathetic towards people, and eventually it'll become more automatic as you keep practicing these 5 steps. The first step is talking to new people. The second step is, like I said in the beginning, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, and it's a great way to become more empathetic. The third step is signing up to help pack food or even donate clothes to food and shelters. The fourth step is admitting to yourself that you're biased. Now, this is a very hard step, but I feel as though it's very important. And last but not least, we have stand up for others. And it's a huge task. But maybe you can say something and change your mind, like I'm changing your mind right now. I believe that these 5 steps that I just told you of getting more empathetic is very easy and harmless. It's a mix of social interactions and also, bettering yourself with it. I do think that if you keep working on being more empathetic, you'll see it in the long run make you become a better person. According to Claire Miller on the New York Times, she says that because of how homogeneous people's social circles has become, humans naturally hold biases that empathy can be developed. And I do think that empathy can be developed if you work on it. Now, as I'm coming to a conclusion, people nationally and locally have lacked empathy, but especially now since we're in the middle of a pandemic. As a reiteration, I would like to follow up with the need to follow these 5 steps, including talking to people, admitting to yourself you're biased, standing up for others, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, and signing up to help pack things. I want you to remember the story of the homeless man on the corner. He has a sign that says anything will help, but that person's you now. Would you want me to be empathetic and help you?